my father sacrificed everything he was. He sacrificed us for Assyrians. Everything. So for me to even reach a point right now to think about leaving ruins me. But I also know why I'm thinking like this.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Assyrian podcast, where we bring you stories and conversations from our vibrant Assyrian community around the world. I'm your host, Miriam, and today I'm thrilled to host a special roundtable with young adults from the Assyrian homeland in Iraq. You probably remember in episode 167, we heard from a group of individuals from the diaspora who had journeyed back to the Iraqi homeland for the first time. And before that, in episode 90, 4 returnees, including myself, talked about how we packed up our diaspora lives and moved to Iraq. In today's episode, you'll meet Baneta, Romta, and Dilan. Baneta and Romta were born and raised in northern Iraq, and Dilan was born there, but he went to France for a while, and now he's been living in Iraq for 5 years. All 3 will dive into their experiences, the challenges they face, and the hopes they have as they navigate life as an Assyrian in our ancestral land. You'll notice that their experiences are very different from those you've heard so far on the Assyrian podcast, and each guest brings a unique perspective as we explore topics ranging from cultural identity to daily life. I must admit, this episode was bittersweet for me to record. After living in the homeland for 5 years, it was time for me to move back to Canada. A difficult decision to say the least, and the farewells were definitely gut-wrenching. So I want to dedicate this episode to all those people I met in Atra, in the homeland, all those with whom I shared laughter and tears, experiences and adventures, to all those who welcomed me into their homes and hearts, who helped me settle in, who guided me as I explored and rediscovered my Assyrian roots, including Baneta, Romta, and Dilan. Before we get to this week's episode, I want to remind you to subscribe to, rate, and review the Assyrian podcast wherever you listen to it. Also, if you know someone you think should be on the podcast, then please reach out to us. You can find more information about nominating future guests on our website. With that being said, let's begin this insightful conversation and get to know more about what it feels like to be a young Assyrian in the homeland. Shalom alaikum and welcome to the Assyrian podcast. Dilan, Romta, and Baneta, thank you for joining me today for an interesting conversation I'm hoping we're going to have about what it's like to be an Assyrian living in the homeland. To get things started off, I know all of you, but our listeners don't. So maybe we can go around the table and you can introduce yourselves.
I'm Romta. I was born in Mosul, then lived in Hadra all my life. I graduated finance, and my favorite thing to do here, like something I really enjoy, is actually the village life in general, the gathering. It's just the thing that we have in the village is what make life here special.
Hello everyone. My name is Baneta. I'm a pharmacist. I graduated in 2022. I was born in Hadra Dahok, but I've lived my entire life in Erbil Ankawa. What I love doing the most here is being around my people, friends and family, and enjoying all the gatherings that we have.
Something in common, Romta and Baneta. What about you, Dilan?
Hello everybody. My name is Dilan. I'm from Ankawa. I was born in Ankawa, but when I was 1 year old in 1991, it was the beginning of the Gulf War, and my family left the country. We moved to France. I grew up in France. And in 2019, I moved back. I resettled here. I used to come for visiting, of course, regularly with my family or alone. And so I moved back in 2019, and since then I've been living here. It's been 5 years now. And I created an organization called The Return to help our community to come back to the homeland.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to go right in, dive right in and ask you, how do you maintain your Assyrian identity in the homeland?
For me, it started since I was a child. I pretty much grew up knowing nothing but being Assyrian. Something that my entire family and my late dad especially, they taught us since we were children. I grew up, I went to an all Assyrian school, Surat. I graduated successfully with a very high, let's say, GPA. I went to a high rank college, and I graduated there top third on my stage, which was something that I planned to do because I wanted to represent my school. Because among 120 students that came from all types of different backgrounds and English schools and Kurdish schools and Arabic schools, I wanted to represent that although we came from pretty much not the best environment for the school, not environment, I'm gonna say not the best condition for our school, but I graduated top third among the 120, and even till now in my career, with each success, with each transition into a new job, I make sure that the people around me know who I am, what Assyrians are. I correct them if they say anything wrong, and I've successfully taught many people that I've encountered throughout my career about what Assyrians are.
So educating others, basically.
Yes.
For me, it's completely the opposite. We've never. I didn't grow up in a family saying we are this, our identity is that, and this. It was completely natural. Like at home, we speak Surat, and we are Iraqi, but not the same as the majority population. A different religion, different language, different ethnicity. But my family never focused on this identity or on naming it. But I think we did it in a different way. For example, coming back as much as possible here for holidays. So when we were in France, we could just go to Spain. It's next to us. But instead of going to Spain, we used to come here like every 2 or 3 years, or to other countries where we have our relatives, and there we practiced our language. And we at home we only speak Surat. That's why I think you know all of us we are completely fluent, me and my sisters, in Surat. So my identity, let's say, was less conscious but more practical than many other people, even in the West or in Iraq or in other countries. So that's how I was living my Assyrian identity. And even the word, like, I've never used Assyrian or Chaldean or Syriac. We've always said Suraya. And you know, for people here, Suraya means at the same time ethnical Assyrian and at the same time Christian.
Yeah.
So for example, my parents never said Shihaya, and so until today they still say Suraid Faransa, Suraid America, and they don't mean Assyrian, they mean Christian.
Yeah.
You know, so it's mixed, and that's probably also because we became or we evolved to be a more ethno-religious group, not only ethnical, not only religious group. So that's why for most of the people, like I don't like this word, but let's say the random people or average Suraya here, especially here, not abroad, we don't think much about this, but we live it normally.
Yeah, it's basically part of your day-to-day and your DNA.
Exactly.
I think one of the major things for me growing up was the traditions and the customs that we maintained in the household that helped me keep my Assyrian identity. And so, Romta, I want to ask you, are there any specific traditions or customs that you feel are unique to the Assyrians here in the homeland?
Well, I think Khumar is everywhere, but I feel like we have Somika. I don't know if people...
Oh my God, such a good example.
Yeah,
tell us about Somika.
Yeah, so Somikas usually, we usually do it like before the big fast, like the 50 days that we fast.
For Easter,
Yeah, for Easter. Usually people in the villages, especially the young people, wear, different clothes, like funny clothes. Then they go from house to house, maybe say something funny or sing or play something. So we're actually losing that even here. Like I remember it from when I was young.
Yeah.
As I am growing up, a lot of our villages now are almost empty. So I have like a memory of it maybe sometimes in certain villages, but I'm pretty sure like in the Western countries, it's all no one does it. And
Yeah.
at this point, I feel like because we are spreading all over. We have like very few Assyrians here. There's a lot of traditions nowadays. If we're gonna keep going like this, then we're gonna miss it here, like Rawe and Liliana. Liliana is almost no one from the new generation can sing Liliana even here.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for the listeners who aren't familiar with Rawa and Lilianas, they're types of songs
Folkloric.
folkloric songs that we sing. Yeah. Especially during weddings.
Yeah, and Liliana is for women and Rawe is for men. Rawe is kind of more popular, but Liliana is really, missing. We don't have anyone singing like from the new generation.
Yeah. So you made an interesting point too that we're, the number of Assyrians here is dwindling. But what about the Assyrians that are left here? Do you feel like the Assyrians in the homeland have changed over the last few years or the last few decades?
So there are probably two things. There's the evolution of the whole country and other groups in this country, and some evolutions common to other countries, like everything related to internet and social media and globalization. And there are some trends specific to our community, maybe because we are now only 150,000 in Iraq and almost no one remaining in the neighboring countries. So there are common trends, and for example, I want to mention one. The schools, the teaching in Iraq after 2003, before we used to have a very strong public education system, and after 2003, because of the chaos here, and especially in the north of the country, they developed a lot of private schools, and they mostly learn English there, and we are losing our language through our children who are not speaking Surat anymore with each other. And it's the same with other communities like the Kurds and the Arabs. The children studying in these schools are more comfortable speaking English than any other local language. So for us, it's even more dramatic because we are only a few thousands remaining here. So if our children don't speak Surat, nobody will in the future. So that's something, that's an evolution I can see here, which is very sad, honestly.
And it's very ironic because I remember hearing a lot of Assyrians here who used to say, oh, these Assyrians, they go to diaspora and they lose the language. They don't teach their kids the language. And now when I go to a cafe in Ankawa and I'm sitting next to an Assyrian family, I hear them speaking English to their kids.
Yeah, that's very sad.
Very sad.
Yeah, that's one of the evolution I can notice here.
For me, I think it's the fact that we are being less and less hopeful as the time goes by to stay here, to be able to maintain a decent life here. For example, back then, before ISIS and before the economical crisis in the north region, there was some sort of kindling flame of hope amongst our people. But after that, the scales tipped because people started realizing or started thinking about healthcare, about education, about safety, and they put that against language and roots and preservation. And we are humans by nature. We tend to be emotional, and they realize that they would rather for their children to have better education and live in a more safe environment, better access to healthcare. So the scales have definitely tipped towards leaving or giving up.
Yeah, and also because we have now 90% of our population which left in the past 20 years. So it becomes even easier to leave because for many families they have most of their relatives abroad rather than here in the homeland. So the decision to leave is not only easier, it's almost natural like there's no other option. For many people, they believe that leaving the country, emigrating is the only solution and it's the natural solution for everything, which is not true. And we can see the crisis in the West. They show us that they will not necessarily find a better life somewhere else.
I think both globalization is affecting what's happening and actually losing hope. But if we are talking about maintaining our culture and language and everything, I think throughout the history of Assyrians, like we didn't have a country, we didn't have any representation for almost like 2,000 years. But yet we maintain the language, we maintain the traditions, because simply our families never let us to not be Assyrians. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of time we say that when we are, living to the West, we are forgetting our roots. But if we think about it, like during Saddam, like a lot of Assyrians start identifying as Arabs because it was better for them. So I feel, as an Assyrians, this is not a new thing for us. Like throughout generation, we have been living oppressed. There was a certain times in Iraq we were not allowed to speak our language publicly. We were not allowed to have our own books. Like if the government saw an Assyrian book with you, they will put you in jail. But I think it was the people wanted to protect this culture. So for me personally, if you live here, if you live abroad, if you want to protect the culture, you can protect it. Just speak Assyrian, try to connect with your family, stay in touch, say I'm Assyrian, and yeah.
But do you think it's realistic what you're saying when you're abroad, and we can see our people from the third or fourth generation in the US, are they still practicing their
I think there's something about human beings. When you are oppressed, you are more protective. Mm-hmm. So just like I said before, yes, this is our land, this is our root. But as a government and as a country, we were oppressed in so many ways. Maybe more oppressed than any other Western countries. But this oppression kind of made us more stick to our roots. But what I'm saying right now, we are living for a better future. It's fine. But for a lot of my cousins, they left when they were like 15, 16, so they spoke Assyrian perfectly. Nowadays, I can't speak Assyrian. You didn't leave the country young, so you can't speak Assyrian. Their parents don't speak the fluent English, yet nowadays, broni, lem, soti, sort. So I feel because they are going there, that they are letting the West, to affect them. Yeah. But if we think about it, and I've heard it so many times from my cousins, from my uncles and grandpas, we had a lot of people here that just spoke Arabic because it was safer for them, because they wanted to be Arabized. So I feel this oppression and this pressure was always on us as an Assyrians, and it's harder. I'm not saying it's not easy, but I think for me it's the household, because I went to an Arabic school. But if I ever said one word in Arabic in the household, my father, he will yell from the kitchen, "Don't say that, say this." But it's the family.
You mentioned, for example, your friends who left when they were 15 or 16
because
years
they
old.
choose to.
What about their children? If the parents are not even able to maintain their language, what about the second generation?
Yeah, but if they want, like if someone is not in touch if I'm not in touch in my identity, I can lose it here if I want, because we can see a lot of people that lost their identity throughout generation. But I think because there is more differences here, it's somehow still more protecting us. But like in the long run, I think it will we will have the same result. So the thing that we need to teach, especially the people in diaspora or here, just stay in touch. You have all the right to find a better opportunity for yourself, but stay in touch with your roots, because it can happen here. I have seen it happening here before.
I understand what you're saying about stay in touch with your roots, and it might make sense when we're talking about the past, because the roots here were deep and strong. However, now people what can they stay attached to if there are no strong roots in the homeland?
If the soil is not proper.
Yes, we are a marginalized group. And back then we had some sort of political power through our political parties that were supporting us in the early 90s and 80s and up to 2000s. For example, like Zawa. It created a massive ripple effect among our people by the work they did here. But we've seen what has happened to our political parties lately, because now we have zero representation. Currently, we don't have any seats. A while ago, we didn't have any representations because of other parties, non-Assyrians or non-Christians, were voting through to their people through us. So it all just collapsed. The whole structure that we had here that was already fragile collapsed. So now when we're talking about people from the outside maintaining their roots, what roots? We barely have any roots here. But for example, the work that Dilan is doing is amazing. He has created an organization that's helping people return. I mean, that's something we can depend on. That's something we can call roots for us. But looking at a bigger picture of Iraq, it's not like it used to be. The roots are not there anymore.
So if I could rebuttal on this, you're saying the roots are not there. We don't have the political representation that we used to have. And for the listeners who aren't familiar, there were 5 seats that were allocated for the Christian minorities, not even for Assyrians, and anyone could vote for those. Not the votes were not just Assyrian votes. Any Iraqi citizen could vote for those seats. And now we've lost those seats. We don't even have those 5 seats to represent us. So that's what Baneta is referring to. But I wanted to rebuttal and ask you, so other than these political challenges that make us basically lose our roots here, what are other challenges that Assyrian youth or young Assyrians face in the homeland?
As an Assyrian, for me, it's painful every day to realize where I am as an Assyrian in this country. It makes me sad to have to educate people every day about what I am, and don't refer to me as that, please, I am this. It's sad for us to hear people in the north region, the Kurdish people, telling us, oh, you should be grateful to live in Kurdistan, as if this wasn't our land, as if this wasn't our history, as if we weren't a major part of this country, as if we are not genocide survivors under the same people that are telling us now to be grateful. Every day I am sad about this. Every day throughout my interactions with people that I meet, or even at work, people that I'm educating every day, it's painful. That's on the emotional aspect of it. On the other side, the lack of representation, the lack of, for example, access or seat at a table at any place, whether it's the parliament, or whether it's my own work, or whether it's a university, or whether we don't have people at the table representing. That's the biggest challenge for me. That makes me lose hope, because where am I heading? If I can already see how it's barricaded against us, where am I heading?
But in the daily life of most of the people here, they don't even think about these topics, about identity, or not only in our community, in all communities. They just live their daily life, and the struggles, what I can notice here is that most of the struggles we face here are the same that other communities face, like the lack of infrastructures, electricity issues, public services, and all this. They are shared struggles, and the topic of the identity is not, it really depends on who you are talking with. It depends on your social category also. Some people more educated will know more about this. Some people may have some bad intentions, for example, when they tell you should be happy to this and that. But in the daily life, I can see that most of the people I work with, for example, or the people outside our community, they are curious about us, and they are even happy to learn more about us. And so it really depends on the approach you have. You have 2 choices. You can show the positivity, or you can be upset by the lack of knowledge, for example.
Every human in this country struggles. Like with, as you said, education, safety, infrastructure, everything. But besides that, had we had something hopeful here, it would have, as I said, tipped the scale towards staying or wanting to make a change. But we're struggling on both ends. We're struggling as a normal human being living in this country, not having access to any decent resources, regular resources to be able to maintain a decent life. And as an Assyrian with an identity crisis.
So what opportunities do you see for the Assyrian community here? Whether it be economic, educational, or even social development. Are there any opportunities for Assyrians?
For me, it's the same as for the others. Like, it depends on us. Do we consider ourselves as normal citizens or as a minority? I never say we are a minority only if there's a purpose like fundraising or whatever. But I always consider myself as a citizen of this country, as legitimate as anyone else. So the opportunities are the ones we decide to create. And if you have this mindset, it's usually easier to reach any goal than to always think as a persecuted person.
Yeah, there's something that I want to say. Like, I know a lot of people here just don't care about identity and everyone is trying to survive. But I have been in situations, especially as a local that went to school here, and I went to an Arabic school, so the majority were Muslim that went to university here, work here with the locals. There has been points that when I said to someone that I am an Assyrian, they were like, "No, you're not." Okay, I try my best to explain it. Then they would be like, "Can you stop denying that you're Kurd?" And once it happened in my last year in university. So they usually give us, to fill our religion, what major we are, what level. So there's a nationality part. I wrote in Assyrian. Then when they printed, I was Kurdish for some reason. So I know as a people, there's a lot of, and I've met a lot of people that know what Assyrians are. They know about the other, people that live in this land, in this country. But at the same time, we have a certain people that they will try to fight you, and you can't do anything. That's the thing. Like I went, when it happened with me in university, I talked to everyone. No one did anything because we don't have anything in law that say that we're Assyrians. We have the whole history showing what Assyrians are, and we have a lot of governmental paper saying what Assyrians are. Now you are telling me that I can't write I'm an Assyrian. So what's the difference between our life here and what my parents dealt when they were under Saddam? Because Saddam didn't let anyone write other than Arab. Maybe sometimes a Kurd, but you can't say I'm Assyrian or Turk or Yazidi. And it's the same thing happening here. That's why I'm saying, even here, there's a lot of, because if someone wants to choose the easy way out, they will be okay with it. I had friends that were okay with it. But for me, if I will lose my identity here, then I don't mind losing it in the West.
But your identity is much stronger than this piece of paper. So why do you even focus on this?
Because it's not affecting me, because I grew up in a household that taught me what Assyrian is, but I have seen my friend that were affected by it. And they started believing that they were Kurd. And even someone told me, no, I wrote in Arab because I don't want them to identify me as a Kurd, because we didn't have the option to write I'm an Assyrian. So just like I said, and I really do believe it, it's the family. If you have a strong family, no matter where you are, you will know you're Assyrians. But even if you are here, there's some people that they are just becoming fine. Oh yeah, I'm a Christian Kurd or I'm Christian Arab. And it's okay for me because that's how I'm identifying myself now.
You asked about development opportunities, right?
Yeah, do you feel there are any opportunities for the Assyrian community, whether economic, education, or...
From what I'm seeing, if there are any opportunities, it's done through individuals that are creating their own platforms. we previously depended on political parties and churches and old school institutes, but currently I'm seeing that the individuals coming up with more exciting and interesting ideas, interesting platforms to develop as Assyrians. They're calling out other Assyrians to join them. That makes me hopeful. I always enjoy seeing young people going about helping the Assyrian community in the homeland this way, whether that work is being done through people in diaspora or people here like Dilan. Yeah.
And also it's not only for our community. I'm very happy when I see some, for example, entrepreneurs or politicians or public or influencers or whoever who have an influence outside our community, because we are only 150,000 here. We cannot just survive in a cave,
Yes.
just the few of us here. So I'm much happier when I see these people influencing the whole country. And we talked before about the political representation. I'm not happy with the 5 seats. Even 10 seats, I'm not happy with that, because it's not just because you are like me that you represent me. That's not the thing. The best thing will be to have normal people, normal citizens representing the whole country, and based on the competencies. You know, the parliamentary regime in most of the countries, one representative cannot do much, 5 cannot do much neither. It's usually the majority which can be able to have an influence. But so in this way, we should not think or always have this approach of being a minority in a big group and being able to have 1 seat, 5 seats, 6 seats instead of 5, but as legitimate representatives of all the people. And before you said like we were oppressed in the previous decades and the previous regime. That's true for our specific political parties. But for example, at the same time, the vice president, the vice prime minister, was an Assyrian for decades. You know, in the whole country. So I think we just need to change our approach, not only being like a surviving minority which is extinguishing, but as legitimate, strong people here discussing with everyone and having an impact on everyone. I'm just trying to think strategically instead of emotionally. That's my approach. I would say, if we react emotionally, will we reach any output or not?
Yeah, but it's
but if we think strategically, we may.
I agree, but it's also very hard to disregard the emotional aspect when you've been living under such circumstances, under oppression, where you feel like your identity is being erased every single day, whether it's filling out a form at the university or talking to friends or colleagues who have no idea who you are or what you represent or what your community is about. So I understand that a lot of negative thoughts develop. And I want to ask you, actually, how do you cope with negative thoughts and feelings in your daily life? Negative thoughts related to, like,
being an Assyrian.
being an Assyrian.
Okay, so for me, I grew up with grandparents that always, told me what they have been through just so they don't leave the country. And, they showed me the places they hide and they run away and all of that. So even sometimes when I think that I'm going to something bad and nothing has changed for years, I just keep telling myself, yeah, but you are here because certain people did so much, so you can still be an Assyrian, and I have to be somehow strong so I can keep that message living throughout the generation. I can't just quit it and it's gone. There's, just when you think there's a lot of people that gave their soul for this case so we can be here and we can call ourselves Assyrians without being forced to call ourselves Arab or any other nationality. With all the respect for them, I don't mind, but like it's not who I am. So just for the sake, for the people who have done all of that, I need to still be strong, and I need to still to pass it on through the generation that comes after me.
So the strength of your ancestors carries you through these negative thoughts. What about you, Baneta?
I mean, I reflect on the past a lot, whether it's experiences throughout Mesopotamia, like, or the new Iraq, or global experiences. Human beings go through such catastrophes. There are indigenous people living in USA, in Canada, in New Zealand, in Australia, and they're facing the same issues we are facing. Kind of gives me a little bit of a peace of mind that this is somehow a human experience. And a lot of times I find myself being in a very negative headspace, and then I go to Nala and see my cousins there and the way of living, and it just brings me so much joy and so much hope, and to see that we're still holding on to our life and our purpose somehow.
And our traditions,
Yes.
because I think Nala
Yes.
is the last place where they do somika, as far as I've seen.
No, we do
No,
it
a
in
lot
the
of villages,
villages.
yeah, a lot of
Okay.
villages they do somika, but like, because most of my cousins are in Nala, all Assyrian villages are beautiful in their own way, but when I go there, it just brings me so much hope to see our people there still living our traditions. So I reflect on global experiences and historical experiences, and at the same time I feel better when I look at our people still being resilient, and just makes me a little bit better.
That's really beautiful. Actually, I really like that. I think one of the ways that I also coped through negative thoughts in the 5 years I've been living here was escaping to the village and
Yeah.
feeling like I was connected somehow
Yeah.
deeply to the community by just sharing daily experiences with the people that lived in the villages. They are the keepers of
Yep.
the land.
Yes.
Speaking of land, and speaking of some people, Assyrians who don't live in this land, they're in the diaspora. I want to touch a little bit about your global connection and relationship with diaspora. And I was wondering, how do you stay connected with the Assyrians in diaspora, or do you even seek to stay connected with them? Is it an important connection for you to keep?
I will say they should stay connected to us.
But
In a
yes.
way, because okay, there are now a majority outside the homeland, but at a point we are the roots here. Not me specifically, because I didn't grow up
No,
here.
yours.
You are, but I would say the connection should be done from outside to here more than the contrary. Because the more I see people here connecting to the diaspora, the more they want to leave at a point. You know.
Interesting.
So yeah, people from outside should connect to us.
I definitely do feel people from outside should be connected to us, but I think it's our responsibility to reach out, especially to those that have been haven't been exposed much, whether they're like third or fourth generation, or their families are not very much connected, and I think we should reach out, and then I'm sure I've seen it. I know once people come here, they something is there's a spark, something lights up within them. So we should reach, and they will stay connected for sure. For me, like an experience with people from diaspora, to be honest, previously all the youth that used to come, they used to come for the April festivities for the Assyrian New Year. I wasn't very much involved throughout the past 3 years due to some political issues, and I wasn't very satisfied with the Assyrian New Year being led by a political party, and I'm still not, and I will never be. But I didn't get connected to them a lot, to be honest. But the past year I did, and I saw some friends that I used to know in my village back then that came back, and now we're connected again, and I've had a lot more friends through social media, which and I'm hoping like throughout the next years I'm gonna be more connected to our people from diaspora, because I've loved the experience of hearing their perspectives and seeing them fall in love with the homeland.
How can you not fall in love? I think everybody leaves here thinking, I need more. I need more of this homeland. So speaking of that, speaking of the young people from diaspora who visit the homeland, how do you perceive the way they occasionally portray Atra on social media?
I will say it's diverse, and we are diverse, and this diversity is completely legitimate. So someone will come and will only enjoy the bars and nawadi and the clubs and drinking and this, and that's normal. And someone will be very into our heritage, our lands, our farmers, and that's another version of us. And all of these are legitimate. And some people will show only the folklore, and as you said, how do you say that? Romanticizing the homeland, and they will always say Atra. Some people even say occupied Assyria, and some people will say Mesopotamia and some other Iraq. And for me, all of these again are very fine. So whatever you portray on social media is fine, but I'll say you will need to diversify your source or sources of information. And even people portraying the same trip, the same experience, but in a different way, they will complete each other, and you will be able to have a bigger picture, more accurate.
Yeah, I think there's like two sides we can look at it. We need to remember that a lot of these people never have been to maybe Middle East in general, you know, and knowing exactly what's happening here in 1 week or 2 week or a month or maybe even a year is impossible. Like, you need to live here, like, and you know, go out with the locals and see what's actually happening to understand. So I kind of, you know, I know it's annoying when they just show, you know, the happy thing that we do here, like when they come during when you have a festival or, you know, Assyrian New Year, like the good times, and that's the only thing they are showing. But it's not how we, you know, live the whole year. But at the same time, I'm still happy that there's, you know, a youth in diaspora. A lot of them are mixed. A lot of them never, you know, knew what Assyrians are. They are coming here and experiencing everything. So I think there's, you know, a certain way, if you look at it, it's good because there's a youth, you know, they are still reconnecting with the land. At the same time, yeah, I wish they were more knowledgeable about what's happening, but at the time, but if like I went to a country for a week or two, there's no way I can know what's actually happening. It takes time. They, you know, they are coming for the first time. They have, you know, few friends. Then we can still talk that we need to stay in touch. Then we can, you know, show them what's actually happening. How it's good for us if they come back, especially for someone who was born in diaspora and coming back. It's a very strong card for us, to be honest. I really support people to come back if they were born there. So do they, you know, show the good side? Yes, they do. But for me, I kind of understand why they are doing that. So it's not really annoying.
For me, I think it's good, but it definitely can be better. I do believe they romanticize the life in the homeland, but that's as Dilan said, very legitimate thing of them, because they come during our happiest month, which is Nisan. They come and see us happy and celebrating and going to parades and festivals and parties, and it makes sense for them to reflect that. And lately I feel like they have gotten better in reflecting some other sad situations, such as our school situations, our some villages that are going through it. They reflect that. It could be better a lot, but the thing that I want to talk about the most is that I truly believe and recommend that people from diaspora should come independently and be separated from any political party here, because it taints their experience, with all due respect.
Interesting. So Romta and you both made a point about how they need to come back, at least for a visit. But Romta, you said, you know, even 2 weeks is not enough. Even a year is not enough. Yeah. And so this kind of broaches on the topic of this returnee movement that's been happening the last few years. I mean, actually, it's been happening for a long time, but it's the first time, I think, that we've seen young people from diaspora move here alone. Sometimes they don't even have families here, but they've just felt that calling to come back. One of them being me.
Yep.
And I want to get your thoughts about this movement. How do you feel about it? And I think, Dilan, you refer to it as return mobility.
Yes, in social sciences they call it return mobility and not only return migration, because it's never or very rarely straightforward. Usually you come back to your place of origin. It's not only about Assyrian community, it's all the diasporas have this phenomenon. So you come back and then you go back and forth because you're still connected to your other country. You'll always be connected to Canada. I will always be connected to France, and it's good. We don't need to sacrifice part of our life to be able to come back. That's the contrary. When people tell me the real returnees are the ones who come here and they burn their passport, the other passport, and now they become real, authentic returnees, Iraqis, Assyrians living here like us. And I'm telling them, why would they do that? They have this passport. Many people want to have another passport for sure. But this is an opportunity we have to come back. This is even, I tell them, a responsibility we have since we decided to move back to our homeland. And we have this second passport. We may be able to do a few more things or things differently. And that's why we feel responsible in a way to even to do this podcast, for example. That's what you are doing, or founding this organization is my responsibility. So yeah, this movement, Return Mobility, is very nuanced. We have a huge variety of people in this movement. We have families who left 10 years ago and now decide to come back, and we have people from the third generation who are thinking of coming here and trying to build a new life here rather than in Australia or in America or wherever. So it's very diverse. It's interesting. Definitely globalization and social media and access to information and these trips you mentioned before are easing this movement. So and now we are more conscious of what we can do. We are conscious of the risk there is on our head to be extinguished in the future. So that's good. It's the very beginning. I really believe it's the early stages of this new movement as a conscious movement. As you say, we always have had people going and coming back, but as a conscious movement, it's the very beginning. It can seem overwhelming, but we have to truly believe in this movement and believe in what we are doing. For example, when I moved back, nobody supported me in our community.
Yeah,
nobody.
Yeah,
in
people
my
called me
family,
crazy.
Yeah,
Actually,
same for you.
oddly, my family thought I was crazy, but my friends thought I was courageous, and I had the
Exactly.
strength to do it. Yeah.
Exactly the same. Like my non-Assyrian, non-Iraqi friends were very supportive. My family, my relatives here or abroad, nobody understood this decision. Now they are understanding now. And something interesting amongst the Kurds and the Arabs here, I saw a lot of support. Like it can be surprising, but I saw many people, and even at work, where I work now, people saying, as you said, you are courageous, and you are part of this country. You are legitimate, indigenous, legitimate people of this country, and I hope that more people like you come back. And for example, I have a colleague. He's a Kurd from Baghdad, and he said, I grew up with, he says Assyrians, he says Christian, it depends on what it depends. I mean, he's really aware of this. He says, we miss you, we want you to be back. My neighbor was this, I grew up in this school managed by sisters. And, there's a strong connection, and it's up to us to make it real again.
About the return movement, and there's now a lot of organization that's trying to show the youth in diaspora how life, to come and reconnect with your homeland. But at the same time, there's a certain things that you want to think about it before. you're gonna meet a lot of nice people, whether they are Kurd, Arab, Assyrian, Turkmen, Yazidis, whatever. There's nice people everywhere and friendly. But at the same time, talking about the passport, I'm not gonna even talk about the passport, but I live in a city, right? And I have a lot of friends and family that live in the village. So when I usually tell them, "Oh, you should stay in the village and never leave," they just say, "Okay, then come back." And if you think about it, I do understand it. Why I'm giving myself the right to have a better life for myself. Like if I want to go back to the village, I can. If so I kind of understand, because throughout generation, we always heard, like I've known people here that were, politician or certain, I'm not talking about normal people, but like who call themselves influencers and everything. They always talk about we should not leave the country. We should not leave the country. And they were born here. Yet, for some reason, they left the country, wasted 5-6 years to take the citizenship, wasted a lot of money. So if you are telling me something that it's not important, but you are showing me something different, I understand for people that they were born there because it was not their decision. But something we need to understand now in our people, we don't have a lot of trust. Me included. I don't trust people because throughout generations, we have seen people talking big words, but they don't do it. That's why people are always like, okay, he's protecting himself, I will protect myself, because you never know what's happening. So people coming back, it's good. Keeping their passport is important, but at the same time, the gap that we have between the people that they were born in Western countries, even if they come back, and the people who lived here, especially the people that they were connected to the villages. Like I never lived in the village, but like I've seen my family, it's not easy, So I can't go here talking because I have seen people that, their mom died and they couldn't do anything because they didn't have the money to, take it to the hospital. They were waiting for one to be transferred for them, or maybe their grandma died in the car because the roads are so bumpy. So there's a lot of stories that I experienced when I was a child that now I understand. I could never tell someone to not leave or not do anything. So if we're talking about the return movement, it's a brilliant idea. We should work on it. But at the same time, we need to understand the locals that lived here. It's not easy. It's like I could never explain it. There's a lot of things that we can say that they will make me feel better, but deep down I know there's a lot of things that will hurt me. I have friends that come to me and told me, yeah, we were Christian Assyrian, but we were forced to become Kurd because of it. A lot of people say it, and I know that. But when I come in about, work, or a lot of Assyrians that come from diaspora that wanted the passport, they had a lot of, like the Iraqi passport, they had a lot of problems. So I understand that people are so welcoming and they want us back, but it's not the people who will make our life easier. We are talking about the government who should make our life easier. When they know someone is Assyrian and they can prove that either their mom or their dad, not even both, they have the Iraqi passport, they should make things more easy for them. It's not about, I have a nice neighbor or have a nice friend, because life is more than just, friends and going out. There's things that are more important. I have amazing friends here. But when I think about, living in the country, I usually think about, I want better opportunities in jobs. I want more respect in university or school. I don't want my kids to grow up and, being told, you're Kurd. And even if you try to explain that you're Assyrian, they will have it in mind, no, you're Kurd. I know they will meet. I have friends that will tell them that, no, you're Assyrian, we're Kurd, we were friends, we were neighbors for years. But as a certain place, as a locals, we can't run from it. It's just right there. That's why I'm saying there's two different aspects here that we can't never.
Yeah, that's why I've never told anyone you should not leave, because we left.
Yeah.
Also, so I never told anyone don't leave. And when people tell me, why are you trying to help people coming back and people are still leaving, and I'm telling it's two different movements. And the ones leaving want to leave the country. They do it for legitimate reasons. They are struggling with many things, the ones you mentioned here. And the ones coming back are also legitimate, and they are also struggling for other reasons. And these two movements, let's say, are both legitimate. We cannot force anyone to stay somewhere. As you said, you cannot force someone to stay in a village instead of living the life in the city with the comfort and everything. So it's not a paradox, I think, to have these two movements at the same time. But the good thing is that now we have 90% of our community outside the homeland, so there's they can come back. It's a huge amount of people that can.
There's only room for success for their return movement.
Exactly.
Actually, you touched on a couple of things I wanted to discuss with you. One being, what are your thoughts about leaving the homeland? And the other being, do you feel pressure from society to stay in the homeland?
For me, up until last year, I used to sob, not just cry, when someone used to mention leaving the country in front of me, especially people that are close to me. It was too much of a sensitive topic for me. I could have never imagined myself being away from my homeland. However, something happened that changed my mind completely, and now I am considering it. I haven't decided for sure. I am considering it. Although I'm very privileged because my job is amazing, my family is amazing. I haven't seen half of the struggle that I know other people have seen, but I'm still considering it because as I mentioned before, I'm not as hopeful as I used to be because of some certain situations that happened, and because I could call myself a realist and a realistic person. I want better healthcare. I am not gonna take a risk on myself or on my family and wait for us. We are, I always tell this to my family, we are on the brink of a disaster every single day. Every single day something can happen that's gonna ruin our lives. Whether it's a car accident because our healthcare sector is horrible, our traffics are horrible, whether it's a disease, whether it's a safety issue, because a while ago an amazing person I know was threatened because people made some false claims about things that he said, and he was threatened by some religious extremists in Duhok, and it changed my whole perspective about everything. And I still I still argue both sides, staying and leaving every day, because I don't want to let the idea of leaving overwhelm me. But that's the situation for me, unfortunately.
I would say we also need to be careful about how the world is evolving. So here the situation is still not good, but it's better than when Daesh was here, or it's better than the 2000s when it was chaos here, and it's even better than the 90s because of the embargo faced by you were here, so you know much better than us how terrible it was. So I always try to understand the trend, or the bigger the long-term trend in which we are, and at the same time in the West the trend is not that good anymore. It's not the American dream we used to have before. It's not the European dream we used to have before. And we saw this evolution because we moved there in 1991, and it was completely different than now, 30 years later. So I see many people leaving the country for the past 10 years, and the situation now abroad is, as you said, more stable, and there's a bit more security, not that much. But otherwise they lost a lot of quality in their life, and they are not living as good as they were living here. So not it really depends on the people. Some people are very in a very bad situation here. So for these people, it will be completely different abroad. Whatever they do, at least they will have some, as you said, social security or stability in their life. But for some people like you, maybe who are living in a comfortable environment, let's say, there it's not sure that they will get anything better. And I see many people now living in the West, but using the money they got in Iraq to be able to live in the West. Because if they live like a Western person, they will not even be able to have this minimum comfort they want to have. So it's much more nuanced again. And we mentioned ISIS. ISIS now is also in the West, and I saw many people actually in Europe. The mindset is even worse than the ones we had here. And about social security, it's also going very down more and more in Europe. In the US, it's even more complicated. I think it really depends on your situation. And about the job opportunities, again, it's not that easy there. So I'm not saying everything is bad there and everything is good here. I'm just saying it's much more nuanced than what we imagine.
I completely understand what you're talking about, and I never romanticize the West. I never ever do that, because I know how emotionally draining it will be for us who have lived here our entire lives to go and live there. However, you reach a point in life where you actually put pros and cons, and with time, all I can see is that the pros are getting more and more stronger for leaving. One example I can give that's I'm gonna give an example, but I know so many people like that. My cousin, her name is Bahra. She graduated from petroleum engineering school, top second on her class. It's been 3 years. She is fluent in 4 languages. She's been desperate to find a job, any job truly, and she's a very active girl, and she's been struggling, and she's just one example from tens and tens and tens of people that I know that are experiencing the same thing. So what are you gonna tell such person? Stay?
To convince them to stay.
How is that even possible?
I think at some point, regardless of what difficulties you might face in settling in the West, it just outweighs the desperation almost, and just
yes,
the desire to just have a
the
life,
fear.
not even a better life, just a life in general.
That's the point. Just like how Baneta said, we also never thought of leaving the country. We even had, we got accepted to America. We got the visa, a plane from Erbil to America straight. Yet we rejected it at a certain point because no one from us wanted to leave the country, because we have a good life, but at the same time, as I'm growing older, as I'm seeing what's happening actually here, from the job opportunity, from the way that you can be treated and you can do nothing. There's no stability here. There's just a lot of things that, from a person that never wanted to leave, and now they are deciding to leave, there must be something that really hit us, that we changed our mindset. Because I know Baneta's father and my father, they were very patriotic parents, and they taught us a lot about always staying connected to our roots. And we grew up in that mindset, but there's just some things that you can't ignore. Like when I'm saying I want to leave, it's not gonna be easy. I'm pretty damn sure it's not gonna be easy for me to leave and just be happy there. But just like we said, there's a pros and cons. We can leave. We can take the citizenship. Maybe if we can do something, we can always have this we can come and go back and whatever. But I think it's just not that easy here. There's something else. We are losing a lot. For me, one of the reasons that I want to leave, I have more family in the Western country than I have family here. I have more friends there. The friends that I grew up with, I'm not talking about the friends that I met when I'm older. I have more friends there than I have friends here. Sometimes when I go, walk when I take a walk in Nala or Sardesht or Babede, the villages that I grew up as a child, they are just so empty. Like I feel like I want to cry because I know we used to walk this place. We were like at least like 20 kids that now we're all adults, but now we have like two, maybe three, and in Sardesht and Nala we don't even have a village anymore, like my mom's village, because they are so close to Pekaka. Just there's a lot of things that has changed here, so it's not just that easy to say. It's not easy to leave and it's not easy to stay. So you just decide how you feel more comfortable, I guess. If you can survive here, you're lucky. But I think for me, I got to the point that I just can't. I'm trying, but I can't.
I don't know if I can say this, but it's like, and I'm damned if I will, and I'm damned if I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like it's a curse. If you stay here, you're sacrificing so much. You are risking so much. You are dealing with every day a million things, and if you leave,
it's the emotions.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I can't even imagine myself being away from my country. I can't. Romta mentioned my father. I grew up in the most patriotic family. My father sacrificed everything he was. He sacrificed us for Assyrians. Everything. So for me to even reach a point right now to think about leaving ruins me. But I also know why I'm thinking like this.
Yeah. We're
Mariam's crying.
at the end.
Let's take a moment to cry a little bit together.
Have a sip of beer. Yeah, as you said, there's no clear solution. It will be too easy to have one clear solution or answer to this. And there are challenges. You say the challenges you face here and the challenges you will face abroad. And there are even challenges you'll face them after 30 years abroad. And that's what's happening to my parents, for example. 30 years now after leaving the country, now they face the challenge of loneliness there and not having their people around them, because at that point, when you grow up, the essential things of your life evolve. They are not the same. You just want to have some of your relatives or brothers, sisters, friends next to you, and the electricity and all this. It's about comfort, but it's not about the deep things in life. So it's even more complex and complicated than.
Just like I said, like I don't know about Baneta, but like for me and a lot of people that I know, we are basically alone here. Like I have friends, I don't have family. Maybe like one or two. I have more family there. Just like you said, the 90% are in the Western countries. I have no one here. Let's be honest. I don't have. I'm seeing all my cousins. They grow older there. We grew up young together, but for some reason now everyone is there. So even the idea of being alone, we're experiencing a lot here that maybe our parents didn't experience in our age. So I don't know. It's not easy to say this, but.
So let me ask you, is there a lot of pressure on a daily basis from people around you to stay? Or are people more understanding about the fact that you want to go and it's okay?
Depends.
I don't feel any pressure personally, even though I am surrounded by people that are also very patriotic and attached to being Assyrian, but there is no judgment whatsoever. People are so understanding because even the most patriotic people are considerate, so no one judges anyone anymore. I don't feel any pressure. The only pressure I feel is within, and I judge myself.
It's definitely not an easy decision to take, but I feel like you have to keep in mind what your aspirations for the future are for yourself and where can you reach those, basically. Do you see a life for yourself here? Can you reach your personal goals here, or can you reach them in the West? So let me ask you, actually, what are your goals and aspirations for the future?
I mean, personally, I'm on the right track in my career. and I can see myself developing in the pharmaceutical industry, which is something I'm good at and I want to continue doing. And I can do that here. I can do that here pretty easily, to be honest. And I can be a successful pharmacist here. But I'm telling you, the opportunity for me is here, but I'm privileged. And I will say that a million times. I am privileged to be where I am right now. And I will never let my experience be other people's experience, because I know how much harder other people have it, and I've seen my cousins and my friends, and that's what makes me think about leaving, because for example, in the future when I want to start a family or whatever, I think about that and my future partner, not just myself. There are opportunities here for people who seek, yes, but that's very, very rare. It's not for everyone, and I can succeed in my career here, but I know I can also do that in the West pretty easily, and I'm very confident in myself and my past, my experience in my career, and what I'm capable of doing. I know I guarantee a very successful career in the diaspora.
If I may mention, sometimes we are mixing something else, which is social sciences or sociology, which is not specific to us or to the situation of Iraq or of the Assyrian people, which is the as we say, the طبقات اجتماعية, the social classes, and everywhere the upper social classes have more flexibility, have more a different focus on their career, they think differently than the lower classes. The low classes, their main goal is to survive, and that's it. So sometimes the struggles we face are the same for anyone in the world from the same social category. So it may bias a little our judgment about some things, or about the villages and cities. It's a phenomenon we saw in the whole world. It's called the rural exodus. People moving from the countryside to the urbanized area, and we have to deal with it. That's the evolution of the world.
Yeah, but the thing is, we have a special case here.
Yes.
We, like, for Assyrians, if you don't live next to each other, I don't care if you stay here or if you are not connected. I don't care if you stay here or in Europe or in America or in Canada or in Brazil. We can't protect our culture. The only reason we could protect our culture throughout all this years because we were connected. So losing our villages, it's not like when Kurd lose their village. Not because it's this one's more important than that one, but when you are a minority, you have a certain privacy that you need to protect, because we have only like 5 million Assyrians in the world, all over the world, right? A lot of them maybe don't know they don't know they are even Assyrians. And Baneta mentioned before about the native people in America and Canada and all of that. But native people in the West, they are treated so different. Yes, their country were occupied, but it's fine. That's how politics works. Like, I understand that. I accept that. But we live here and we know there's a Native Americans, Native Canadian, Native Australian. People here, a lot of them, not all of them, don't know that you are Native people. They don't know. Like, I've been in Baghdad before. They love us. They appreciate the Assyrian culture. So, but I met a lot of people that when I say I'm Assyrian, they're like, "Oh, I thought you would extend." Just like I said, the government is not giving us. They are not representing the whole elements of this country. They are representing Kurd, Arab. We have more than that. That's why we need to protect our villages. That's why there's a lot of pressure on us to protect all of this. We can't just, like, if we were like I don't know, if we had a country, I wouldn't give a damn about it. But it's the pressure on us. We are the only, we are the only people that we can protect it. Like, if we had a university that worked to teach our language, I'm not talking about Assyrian school. I'm talking that there is an Assyrian language in every school. So everyone can know that there's this certain language. If we have, in a history book, people talking about what Assyrians are actually, how Assyrians survived a lot of things. If the government admit how they did the first, first win for the Iraqi arm was the Simele massacre, yet the government never admitted. So there's a lot of things that's disrespecting me when I'm here, I know I have to be, come up that. I know there's a certain people that are nice, but all of this, they're just like, it's like a war, but psychological war,
Within you.
Yes, like I want to go. I don't need to explain every time who Assyrians are. Yet, even when I explain it, I get fight on it. No, you're not Assyrians. Assyrians are extinct. What the hell am I then?
You sound exhausted with this conflict that you're continuously having to endure.
Yeah. So, and when you talked about the pressure, for me personally, yes, I have been. I've met people, and they live abroad. And when I talk about that, I want to leave. They don't just explain for me, just like how Dylan is doing. Like, there's good and bad here and there. We all know that. But no, you should not leave, and you should stay there and protect the land. Okay, then come back. Seriously, if the West is that bad, what, you are not moving back here? That's what, like, when I talk to people, they tell me, oh, West is this, that. Okay, then you can come back. You have the Iraqi passport in your pocket. You can come back easily. So you are telling me the West is bad, yet you are not letting go of the West. So my mind can just stomach it. I know there's certain people that think the West is bad, and they took a step on it and they moved back or did something. So there's pros and cons in every country, but I feel if the West was actually that bad, I mean, a lot of people wasted a lot of money, wasted a lot of years, so they can go to the West and they can come back here easily, yet they are not doing anything. That's why I have a hard time believing the West is that bad. There's something that are bad there, and I understand that, but if the West was worse than here, people would not have left.
No, it's not bad. We didn't say it's bad. It's just different. It's not. It's just not our home. Let's say at the end.
Actually, at this point, I don't feel like I have a home. I have a land, I have a root, I have a history, but I don't feel appreciated here. So when I say this is my home, I want to feel appreciated. I want my kids to grow up feeling appreciated. This is something I feel like I've lost years ago.
Home is people.
Yes.
Home is people. We are all by default gravitated towards people that speak the same language that we do. They have the same culture, the same history, the same traditions. And when those people are leaving, it gets harder and harder to hold on to something that's not tangible. It's just a feeling that you have.
Exactly.
So let me ask you then, how do you envision the future of the Assyrian community here in the homeland?
People will come back.
How are things going to change here to make them come back?
We never know how history works. Political change, everything change.
I always also have a hope that there will be some sort of a drastic change that will lead to people returning one day. Kurdish people never thought they will have their autonomic region ever, but they have it now. It's very, very deep, and there are many factors that will play into this thing happening. You have the roles of the Assyrians, the roles of the ruling parties in Iraq, the conflict resolution in Iraq generally, and then internally within Assyrians, and then you have international power. World-leading countries that have, such as the US, that has played an integral role in everything that has happened to the Assyrians. I feel there will be some sort of awakening one day with people that are here and people in diaspora, and things will change. When I'm telling you, like just a while ago, that I want to leave, I also want to come back. I don't want to just leave. I also want to come back, but I want to not deny myself the opportunity of knowing the future. And I feel like a lot of people are the same. And just like Dilan said, and I really agree with him, the West is not what we think it is, and things have been going downhill for many countries in Europe and in the US, and we're seeing their economy and their safety. I don't think I'll be safe walking in a US state as much as I will be walking in Ankawa from the things that I've heard. I know that, and people just want the opportunity to know if they can, or to not feel guilt towards their children that they're denying them from an opportunity to leave. But if there is one single strand of hope, or a change that happens here, or a movement from diaspora, it's bound to happen. I don't know, it's bound to happen.
I hope so. What do you think, Dilan?
Yeah, you say that I was optimistic. I'm not that optimistic. I'm quite cynical, and I'll say that the main factor. So you mentioned most of the factors which are interesting for us here in Iraq, like the evolution of the situation here will bring back people, but the main thing will be the crisis in the West that will bring back people. Unfortunately, because we don't want any country to suffer like we did, but unfortunately the situation in especially in Europe and in Northern America, I don't know much about Australia, but it's also evolving quite badly. So these countries' situation will push people to come back, and we already see some signals of these people returning for these reasons. So some people coming back because of the education they are giving to their children, and they do not agree with these values, for example. And some people coming because they cannot afford living there anymore. Like I can see that in California, in Australia, in some cities in Canada also. So yeah, the crisis there, what you face there, Baneta, for example, mentioned some other communities here, the struggles we had here. I had the same in France 20 years ago. I was at school, for example, and people told me, "You're a good guy, why don't you become Muslim?" For example, I don't have any problem with any Muslim. I'm just saying that what you may face here, you may also face it there, and even worse, because there you have freedom of speech, and you can express some ideas that you may not hear, because we are not in a democratic system. That's true, but at least we know the limits, and everybody knows the limits.
Dilan, I just wanted to say something. You talked about the crisis in the West pushing people back to Iraq. I believe also the improvement in Iraq will attract more people. You mentioned that. For example, had we had, I don't know how to phrase that. I'm sorry, my mother language is not English. If we have a better healthcare, just better healthcare and better education, I don't think I would have been where I am right now. Not even the slightest. Yeah. Because those for me are my major reasons of why I want to leave one day. But it will improve. There will be... Iraq is a rich country. It just needs to get itself together, and it will happen. That's the natural cycle of countries. It's bound to happen for Iraq. And once that happens, and with the situations growing badly in the West, there will be a huge influx of people coming back in. And I hope we take that opportunity wherever we are, all four of us, or all the people I know, wherever we are, in whichever country we are, to participate in that movement.
And we have these systems, these public... I completely agree with you. Education and health are the main points you need to develop to be able to build a country. We have this on the paper. Until the embargo, until 1990, we had one of the best health system in the Middle East and one of the best education system in the Middle East, all free. It was completely free. So we still have this legally, but because of the embargo and the chaos after 2003, it's not applied much anymore. But in Baghdad, or now even in Mosul, it's coming back, and much better than here in Erbil.
I know.
Especially about the education, and even about the hospitals and
even
everything,
yes.
Even healthcare. So we have all this. We have very good doctors. We have very good teachers. We have very good everything. I'm trying to have the same hope as you, that in the future it will come back in a way, because the foundation is here. It's not something new for the country.
We have good doctors and good teachers and good people and bad systems.
Yeah. Bad
So it may come
government.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rumta, you were talking about personal choices and personal life. And actually, I want to talk a little bit about something a little more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Let's talk about love.
Let's talk about love.
Let's talk about love.
Yeah,
Baneta,
bye-bye.
you were recently... yeah, bye-bye,
I'm
Dilan.
leaving.
Okay, he's out. Baneta was recently engaged, so congratulations, Baneta. But I was wondering, what's dating like in the homeland?
I mean, it depends on the families. I've seen a lot of open-minded families, accepting families that are okay with their children dating, and I've seen people that know their children are dating but deny it, and I've seen people that completely forbid it.
Yeah.
Depends. In my case, I was fortunate to have a loving and respectful family. I'm currently engaged to my Assyrian fiance, who's also, as I said, Assyrian, and his name is Nisan. Shout out.
Shout out, Nisan. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was fortunate to have a family that was accepting, supportive, and guided me in the right path in my love journey. But I don't know how it is for other people. As I said, I know there are different types of families.
I mean, traditionally speaking, there was no such thing as dating. But I guess times have changed.
But you've heard our love
Yes.
songs, Assyrian love songs.
That's true,
You know?
actually.
We've always been open-minded about these things.
Yeah. Dating
That's a good
was-
point.
Yeah. I think dating as an Assyrian in general is hard, because if you want to date Assyrian, we are very few. But I think when you are living in the homeland, you don't really have a choice. So you have to date an Assyrian, and we still somehow have more gathering and we meet each other more. So yeah, I think, and at the end it depends on the family, of course, living in the conservative countries. But I feel like our people, not all of them, but I feel like 70%, 60-70% nowadays are accepted the idea that no one is getting married if they were not dating. Like, we all low-key know that. Like, even like sometimes you ask the father, he will be like, like now this, every father say it nowadays because he knows. And talking about, just looks like you said, dating is a new concept. I don't feel like it, because when I sit with my grandparents, they talked about, their friends or how they met when they were in the villages. But I think because they were conservative, they never, talked about it. Somehow, even our generation here, we don't talk about when we are dating unless they're our close friends. But I feel dating here is easier than dating outside. But I feel the hard part here for a lot of my friends, when they decide to get married, they want a stable life, they want jobs, they want these things, and that's when they hit them.
So we're back to all the challenges.
Yeah,
we
no,
talked
I'm just
about
saying, I'm
previously.
just like,
Yeah.
so because a lot of my friends actually, when they think about getting married, they can't, live alone. They think, if we can have children, can we afford anything? Can you provide for them? So I think a lot of them can't even get married because they can't afford it. But dating here, like, if I have kids, I would rather to stay here, because I know 98% they will end up with a Christian Assyrian. But in the Western countries, a lot of them are marrying non-Assyrians, which is fine. Love is love. Like, you can't tell someone not to fall in love with someone else just because of a different nationality. But just like I said, as native people, we have a special cause. We need to protect what we have left. So yeah, we should date an Assyrian. Yes.
Dilan, you were running away from the question. Why?
No, absolutely not. So look, it's about sociology. It depends on your background, as you mentioned, both of you. It depends on if you're from a conservative family or more open-minded. It's not only the family; it's also the area, the village you're from. So, like everywhere else, it's more open-minded in the cities compared to the villages. That's it depends on the villages too, but things happen, as you said, about the grandparents. For example, I heard stories about Ankawa, Shaklawa, or the Nainawa Plain 50 years ago, 70 years ago. Things happening at that time. We will be shocked now. So it's not as it's not obviously different. It's not. It has always happened, and there's something else. People are getting married older than before, so there's a new space in a new time zone in our life, like between let's say 15 and 30 years old, that didn't exist for my grandparents. For example, my grandmothers got married at around 16 years old or something like that. So dating was not even a question. But at that time they still had some things like that.
Love stories.
And
Meetings.
Secret
dates.
Secret dates.
but the difference with the West is that even dating will be limited here. Like you can go to coffees together, you can go to a place with a group of friends, maybe not only the two of you, especially before getting engaged, because getting engaged is officializing the relationship, the relation in front of the community, and the community pressure is quite it's not that intense. I heard that in some communities abroad it's even more intense, the pressure of the group, but that's the main reason. Like you have steps, you can see each other, you can discuss with each other, and social media now are easing all this process. And then you get engaged, you have a new period of time, you can do more things. You should do more things, actually. You should be almost every day together, and then
Showing each other off in public.
Exactly. There's a pressure on this.
It's the honeymoon phase before the wedding.
Like if you go to a place without your fiancé, it will be a bit strange. Like, where's she? Why are you coming alone? You're
and that's
engaged.
when the gossip starts.
So it's a bit different, but not that much. Honestly, it's easy to adapt, I think. If someone is listening from the West and wanting to come here.
To date someone from here, go for it.
Contact Dilan for the return mobility for her love reasons. He'll be happy to assist you. Guys, we're reaching the end of the podcast, and I want to ask you each a different question, actually. Just for fun. So, Romta.
Yeah.
Can you share a personal story that highlights what it means to be an Assyrian in the homeland?
So I have, like, my mom village is near Turkey, like very near now. It's even illegal to go there. So my grandpa usually used to take me, show me the old village, and it's so close to Hakkari. So they usually, like, after this mountain there's a sheath, and after this mountain there's that, and they explain all of that for me. And when we go, lower to Beira, like the lower Beira, because we were the last village, just because they know our people, because they knew my grandpa. There was, every time I walked with him, even like in a village that they were not Assyrians, they just praised what we have did for them, because we protected them at a certain time. So there's this certain pride that I get every time, because I'm Assyrian. That I think that's what highlights for me being Assyrian. Even once I went to Baghdad, and so I told someone that I was Assyrian. There was this reaction that I never seen in my life. Oh, you're an Assyrian, and you start talking. My neighbors were Assyrians. My father knew how to speak Assyrian. So there's this moment that you feel so proud that you're Assyrian, and I think that's what highlighted for me.
That's beautiful. Dilan, do you have any advice for Assyrians that live outside of the homeland?
And wants to come back? Or
No, just any advice in general.
I will say to be very clear about their identities, because it is not clear at all when you have a mixed identity, like for you Canada and Assyrian, and even if you want to add Iraqi and Quebecois and many other nuances.
Thank you for confusing me again.
You see? So the thing is that wherever you are, whatever you choose, just be clear about what you are, and be clear about what you cannot practice. So, for example, when I was in France, I could not practice my Eastern, let's say, culture because it's mixed between many things, and it was fine. I was very comfortable with that because I should not force the French people to adapt to my other identity. And when I'm here, I'm doing the same. I still have my French identity here, but I should not force people around me to support or to understand my French side. So just be clear about what you have, what you're losing, because it's a loss. Especially when you have a double identity, you have to lose something at a point. Be clear with that, be comfortable with that. If you want to feel completely Assyrian, Suraya, Mshihaya, whatever you want, and you're in a different environment, do it as much as you can, but also understand that there will be a limit, and the limit is being in a different environment. So that's it. Just be aware of that. If you want to come back, also be aware of what you will lose, which will be your Western identity, and be also aware of what you will be able to win when coming here. Yeah, and otherwise just come and visit, and that's the first step, and enjoy life. That's it.
Baneta, what's your message of hope for Assyrians here in the homeland and Assyrians in the diaspora?
Our experiences throughout history as Assyrian will have to reach its end. The cycle will reach its end, and we will recover. It's happened for other people. History always repeats itself. People vanish and then reappear again. Countries get invaded and then get independent again. And it happens for other. It will happen for us because we have been good to history. History will be good to us. بسيمة رابع المشمع ثاخو وفشيتو بشينا وبخبة.
بوش مشينا.
هايتن بسيمة الشمقد أي بودكاست ناتشين ما كم بودكاست قاد وبخالد على بغازوخ لوخن قاد أفرن قصة خنا.
بخالد على هايتن بسيمة. Thank you guys for joining the Assyrian podcast today.
Thanks for tuning in to the Assyrian podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and even though I'm no longer living there, I still look forward to bringing you stories from the homeland. Until then, I invite you to consider visiting the country, visiting our villages, reaching out to the people who live there, and staying connected. We'll be back next week with a new episode. In the meantime, be well.